Of course, these guys up at Metrolina Auto Group are a den of shrewd negotiators. So I've made a tremendous stride in my never-ending quest to look like someone who won the lottery about 10 years ago. I just purchased a 2009 Ferrari 430 Scuderia, and I've actually wanted one of these since far before I test drove the manual swapped car a few weeks ago. It's always been one of my favorite Ferraris, and those end-of-run mid-engine V8 cars I just think are wonderful. They just take everything that we would have liked to have in terms of options on a regular car, and they incorporate it in. Ever since I saw the Grigio Silverstone 430 Spider with the racing seats, the carbon fiber sports seats in the remake of Miami Vice with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, I just loved that car. And it was just such an impressionable time in my life. And so those cars from the mid to late 2000s, I just will always love. And so now with an 07 S65, an 07 LP640, and an 09 430 Scud, I think I've got the right lineup. So I didn't win the lottery, I just waited for them to depreciate. And although this was not the least expensive one on planet Earth, I tried to buy that one. It was a 57,000 mile one that was an ex-rental at Exotics Racing in Las Vegas. This one was pretty high miles, it's got about 29,000 miles now, and I got it up at McLaren Charlotte or Metrolina Auto Group. And I'd actually seen this car a couple of years ago. It's been for sale off and on for about 3 years, and I actually made an offer on it to trade my gray LP640 on it and a Bentley Super Sports when it was at McLaren Beverly Hills, I think. So I've always loved this one. It's just a perfect color combination. Grigio Silverstone over red. It's got the tricolore stripe, an extremely highly equipped car. The stripe was almost like $8,300, $8,400. So a crazy MSRP car, and obviously '09, everything didn't sell all that well. Even really, really nice Ferraris. I'm sure this was ordered by obviously somebody not high enough on the list to have gotten a 16M. And I love the 16M as well, but this was something that I could kind of make sense of. So I saw that the car had popped up in Charlotte and called and made him a really insulting offer, but then said, look, I know that was not going to get it bought, but I'd like to pay $140,000 for the car. And he's like, no, we got some interest in it. They were asking $159 at the time, which was as cheap as any 430 Scuderia was publicly advertised in the world. So it was appropriately priced, but it had some miles, and generally gray over red is not a great color combination for resale on a resale red Ferrari. Yellow and black and white tend to do much better on Scuds, but I love this color combination. It has a little bit of elegance to it, but just, classic. I loved it on the 550 Maranello World Speed Record cars, and just ever since, I just think it is absolutely the perfect color combination. Obviously, you get all the carbon and everything as standard on a Scud, so now that they've depreciated, the prospect of potentially being able to buy one for 140 or 50 grand, relative to having to pay 100 to 125 for a high option 430, makes these a really, really good deal. And so he wouldn't take it. He said maybe 157 would buy it, then maybe 153, and then he kept coming down a little bit. And I was like, look, I don't really think it's worth that, or at least it's not worth that to me. So we went back and forth a good bit, and of course these guys up at Metrolina Auto Group are a den of shrewd negotiators, so we ended up meeting right smack dab in the middle at $140,000. And so I got it checked out, went up there and bought the car and brought it home, drove it home, had a nice little road trip, and really, really enjoyed the car. And I'd always thought that given the age of the Mercy and the fact that there's so many car events that I want to do each year, having another exotic car that really just does everything that I'd want it to do made a lot of sense. And also, there's just a hole in every car guy's heart that can only be filled by a Ferrari. No matter how much I drink the Lamborghini Kool-Aid and I love it, you gotta have a Ferrari at some point, and it had been a very long time. I think I sold my last, the 612 in 2010. So a long stint, I suppose, without having one. I was really, really happy. I just loved the spec on this car, was glad to have finally been able to secure it, and was happy to have it. Now, my plan was to leave for Lux Rally, and the plan had been to take the LP640. It's a big, kind of a good GT car. There's a big trunk, relatively, for sports cars, but the only problem was, when I drove it back from Scottsdale, the air conditioning wasn't working. I knew that when I bought the car that it did not have working air conditioning. And for driving that whole trip again, round trip on the Nashville to Las Vegas rally, I wanted air conditioning. And so I'd ordered a compressor and a dryer, which was what I was supposed to need, but the evaporator was also bad. That's in the dash, so I have to order that, take the dash out, get it all put in. So that's gonna be a little bit of a more intense repair. So given the serendipitous timing of having just bought this Scud, I didn't just buy it because my Lamborghini broke, but I will say I bought it because my Lamborghini will break, and it's just the right car to complement it. It's more lightweight, agile, track-focused V8 car compared to the big, dramatic, exciting V12 car. So to me, they're just the perfect pair of cars, and with the 993 for some nostalgia and some German influence, I think it's the right lineup to have, and even got some Mercedes to get us where we have to go. So with the Mercy down, we had to make the call to the bullpen, and now the prancing horse gets to drive across the country. Now, of course, I find the sport seats, the racing seats in this Ferrari to fit me perfectly. They're just the right width, the right architecture. I can sit up straight, which is kind of a unique phenomena for me in a sports car. However, they are very, very thinly padded, no room for, repositioning, and so I think it's going to be exceptionally unpleasant, this drive. But, I'm an automotive masochist in most contexts, and so I'm not too concerned about that. My wife's going to do the first leg, and I've got a friend flying in to do the second leg with me. So it's going to be an awesome road trip. I think it may touch 5,000 miles all the way around trip to get back here to Atlanta. So it's going to be a lot of days on the road and a real chance to get to know this car. It checked out nicely and seems to be in pretty good shape. It's had a little bit of paint work, and who knows exactly what all 29,000 of its miles entailed prior to my ownership, but it's my kind of car. Of course, it is still a factory-equipped paddle shift transmission car, and I haven't yet decided if I'm going to let the guys out in San Antonio stick swap it. I'm very tempted to, and I will say in the 300 or so miles that I've driven it so far, the gearbox is that one thing. It works great between gears, but just leaving from a stop, reversing, trying to slowly maneuver is really annoying in single clutch sequential transmissions. And so knowing that that's out there actually does make it much more tolerable. Like that, knowing that one day, if there's some catastrophic failure with the F1 system, or if I just grow that tired of it, for a significant but amount of money that I would get back on resale, I can stick swap the car. And so I don't know. I might do it. They're getting a few of the tweaks ironed out with their little kit, and so I'll probably go out, check it out at some point, and maybe pull the trigger on that, because it would be great. But, my wife, I said, is going to come up with me on this rally. I'll see how she likes driving it. I wouldn't mind having her put a few more miles on some sports cars and continue to engender her into the hobby. I know that it was always nice when she's on board with it. So we'll see how that all goes and how much she enjoys it. She at least said she liked the way the car looks, so I'm excited about that. But it's been an interesting ride to get here, but I'm glad we got this car, and I like the way the lineup in the garage looks right now, and so we'll see where the roads take us, but at least it's going to be probably about 5,000 miles in the next week. So hopefully they're trouble-free, and there's many more to come after that. We'd like to thank Vincero Watches for supporting VINwiki this month. Vincero makes bold, stylish, and well-priced watches out of exceptional materials, and there's a link in the description below for a discount. So check out their website and find the watch that helps make the statement that you want the world to see.